I bow my head at your feet. Daddy, are you still in here? She's in here, but she's not typing.
Threatening to groom my 10-year-old daughter.
I'm a victim, and that's oh my God, Esther.
Go get a blade. She called and she said, and that's more demonic than dominant submissive type thing.
Warning, in today's video, we will be discussing a lot of triggering and sensitive topics. If you are triggered by anything that pertains to harm on oneself, proceed with caution. And look after yourself, okay, bestie? TikTok. TikTok has become one of the most feared platforms on social media. If you are willing to wade through the waters of constant duets, makeup tutorials, dance routines, and comedy skits, you can find certain subculture communities that are developing or have been developed. Some that even have a strong, well-known presence on social media. For instance, let's take the furries, who I would say in the past couple of years have become a more mainstreamed subculture, with people understanding that they aren't this weird BDSM group as seen in the media, but more so just human beings who like to cosplay with a furry alter ego. No different to anything else that you would see walking through the exhibition centers of Comic-Con. Although there are some kinky furries, but that seems to be quite a minority, but I digress. How the f did I start off with furries? Anyway, so going back to TikTok, TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance, and they are a giant Chinese company with over 40,000 employees, which is more than Facebook. And they're also behind one of China's biggest news apps, which is Taritao, and News Republic. In August of 2009, TikTok then merged with Musical.ly and its tens of millions of followers on that platform. And this platform, TikTok, has now become so feared that even President Trump wanted to kind of ban TikTok from being used in the US. And a lot of mainstream media have become increasingly worried about the quote-unquote Chinese agenda to censor all political discussion from their app. From mainstream news outlets, whilst in tandem having their very own domestic version of TikTok called Douyin. I'm probably butchering these. Because as we all know, China have now banned a lot of social media networking sites, US-based social media networking sites, such as Facebook as well as WhatsApp. That aside, with TikTok, the heavy focus actually tends to be on a user-based experience. Interaction via e-commerce has made TikTok a much stronger platform, in my opinion, than say somewhere like YouTube, because it doesn't have an auto-play feature, it doesn't have an auto-scroll feature. So in order to use TikTok, you have to be active, you have to be present, you have to keep scrolling, using your device at all times. As the biggest platform to have seen a boom like this since Snapchat almost a decade ago, every platform has tried to replicate what it is that has captivated the audience of TikTok. From Facebook stories to Instagram reels to even YouTube shorts. Every social media platform now wants the active viewer, the active consumer, with an attention span of up to 3 minutes, ensuring that most users are watching their videos in full, getting instant gratification, rather than watching a 45-minute video and not getting any closer to the plot. Look, I've just explained TikTok, its subcultures, the socio-political structure, Chinese censorship, and how many social media networks are seeing the value in the active consumer, but we haven't even got any closer to the story. That's YouTube for you. So with the developing subcultures of TikTok, food talk, clean talk, teen talk, witchy talk, tea talk, tarot talk, mom talk, black talk, it is very clear to me that TikTok has become one of those places where like-minded people can come together to form their own communities. And these communities are communities where people are all active users. So it's pretty unsurprising to me that a community can come together to create a cult-like fan base with a cult-like following. We have seen so many Gen Z stars of TikTok develop a cult-like following, develop stronger fan bases than even some of the most prolific, most well-known fandoms of social media, such as Team 10. So today we are going to be talking about the Lesbian BBW cult of TikTok. And even saying that out loud honestly seems crazy to me. But this is not even the first TikTok cult that we've seen. I mean, there's plenty of them and I can delve into them, trust me. Because cults on TikTok aren't like the evangelical ones that we are used to seeing or that we're most familiar with. Instead, they are open fandoms surrounding one singular creator. Much like the stans of like pop figures and such, members of these TikTok cults will stream songs, will buy merchandise, will be in the comment section of every other video defending their Lord and Savior. But the interesting thing is, unlike Stan Twitter, these individuals on TikTok aren't independently famous. They tend to be upstart creators building their fan base. The rise of these kind of cults on TikTok is like a stark contrast to the dance star culture that TikTok is known for. The cults uplift unlikely influencers and allow the users to feel complicit in their rise. This type of bond between the creator and the user is incredibly powerful. You no longer need 1,000 true fans as conventional wisdom has previously dictated. Today, a creator can make a lot more money off a lot fewer fans. So this led me to ask a question. How did the Lesbian BBW cult of TikTok develop? And why was this woman?
Why do you like big girls? Because they're fucking delicious.
Their leader, when in essence there's nothing really interesting or different about them in comparison to any other TikTok users. And how did this cult following inspire devotion to their leader by getting their leader's name tattooed on their body?
Daddy, I love you. And to show you that I love you and that I am Daddy's girl and I belong to you, this is what happened. All for you, nothing more, nothing less.
Giving up their monthly paychecks, disassociating with friends and family, praying to them.
I bow my head at your feet and lay my body on your altar. Without you, I am nothing.
To even obscene acts such as cutting themselves as punishment, enduring physical and emotional abuse, alleged human trafficking,
Threatening to groom my 10-year-old daughter. You and your cult should have never did that.
and even exiles from the community, which is something that I, as an ex-JW member, have seen multiple times, which is disfellowship. So let's go down the rabbit hole of this cult and see where it went so drastically wrong. So Angela, known as Angela the Goddess, is a TikTok user with over 70,000 followers. She had a previous account called Angela Natural Genius that had over 170,000 followers, but that account got taken down. What for? We don't know. Editing Paige here just to let you know, Angela's most recent account has since been deleted as well. It's been taken down. So, I mean, like I said, this story is constantly developing. She is estimated to be in her late 20s, early 30s, and is from Detroit, Michigan. She has spent most of her life as a BBW woman, but has in fact lost a large amount of weight. A lot of people have said that this is through diet and exercise, and some people have also alluded to the fact that it could have been through weight loss surgery. I don't care really to give a crap about that, but that's just like the insight. She is alleged to have a stud spund, and a stud spund is a stud lesbian that somebody has as their partner. And Angela, up until until recently has even had her studspund listed as their married partner on their Facebook account for over 4 years. However, it is unconfirmed whether this is just like a social media marriage or whether this is a legitimate marriage. It is alleged that this studspund has their own stud cult. However, this is unconfirmed. I personally think the information is inconclusive when it comes to that. Angela's Instagram name before they made a new one is called Angela the Barbie 26, and because people were able to find her old Instagram, a lot of people have accused Angela of stud fishing, which is the act of presenting as a lesbian who is more masculine presenting, when in fact or in reality you are actually more so leaning towards the side of being more feminine presenting. Besides that, we really truly don't know that much about Angela, her life or her upbringing at all. Now, there have been a lot of things that have been accused of Angela, from physical violence to instigating self-harm, emotional abuse, alleged human trafficking, blackmail, financial abuse, and so much more. All of these kind of things can offer up a visceral reaction from the audience when it's given a platform. It's important to me, at the very least, to believe all victims under all circumstances. And that's how I began this story, believing every single piece of information that was coming out of these victims' mouths. I believe that Angela was this aggressive, abusive ogre taking advantage of BBW lesbian women. However, as time got on and the more and more I started digging into this situation, I began to realize that a lot of things just wasn't adding up. And whilst I still vehemently believe, and I need you guys to literally listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, I'm not choosing to take certain parts out of context because I agree with certain things. We're trying to be an objective bystander right now, to have a look at the overall situation. But when I say these words, I need you to actually hear it, recognize it. I want it to sink in. I want it to get into your brain. I don't want you to choose what it is that you want to hear, okay? I still believe that Angela is an abuser. But what we can verify that they have done is nowhere near as sensationalized as what is happening with this story. In essence, I believe that some people are telling some lies, and some people are stretching the truth or misapprehending stuff for their own personal gain. And some people, in my opinion, are choosing to misreport / not give all sides because it serves them better to have this huge story on their hands. I think that ego and greed have a huge part to play in this story. Not just by Angela herself, but also in the shock reporting of Miss Karen and the clout chasing of King. Two key players that I believe will give yellow press to this story without actually just delivering the facts. And that's the only thing I deal in over here. Facts, not fish stories. Angela's cult is assumed to have started in 2020 in the height of the panoramic. As her following of people grew, people did not seem to take notice of Angela's harem of women until April of 2021, when various girls were getting Angela's name tattooed on their body as a sign of devotion. She essentially found fame on TikTok by being a generally attractive woman that preferred big women and BBWs, which eventually led to a lot of plus-size lesbians and bisexual people duetting her video and interacting with her content as a way to garner her attention and possibly her affection. As you can see in some of these old school clips of Angela, she donned wigs and weaves, and her aesthetic was essentially a lot more femme presenting. Angela then decided to take a more domineering approach when she started streaming, because she ended up getting gassed and seeing that her audience was growing and how she was able to capture everybody because she had control over so many people at one time. So when she realized that her fight for big girls at all cost persona was working, she then flipped the script and ended up being more masculine presenting, quote unquote stud.
My thing is, if a BBW came up to me right now, bro, then I'm dropping everything. Fuck is you talking about? Hi, wife. How much kids do you want? Fuck is you saying? Like, come on, let's be realistic here. Let's go.
I would never sit down with a bitch that's already demolishing my character for no apparent reason, that know nothing about shit about shit. Y'all be asking dumbass questions.
as that was what the majority of the lesbians and bisexuals were attracted to. Now, it's kind of unknown when the cult aspect of all of this actually started or how it started, but in order to pledge your allegiance to Angela, what you essentially needed to do was post up Angela's TikTok videos or reels or duets and pin them to the top of your profile so that you're constantly promoting Angela's content above anything else. You also needed to use the hashtag Ange with a yellow heart emoji. The yellow heart essentially is like a massive signifier that you're a part of Daddy's Girls. These girls would also frequently talk about Angela's products because she also has like a skincare oil. www.angie'sskinoil.com to push sales of Angela's products on their respective platforms. It appears that they also have rankings for Daddy and people who are essentially close to Daddy. So people would get pet names such as Daddy's Godiva, Daddy's Puppy, Daddy's Wife, Daddy's Slut, etc, etc. See, the thing is with cults is that a lot of the recruitment process is about convincing the target that they are loved, and anything it is that they are trying to seek answers to can be addressed by belonging to something that is far more bigger than them. That, alongside the level of displacement that we have all pretty much felt throughout the panorama, as well as the sheer number of us using the internet for school, for work, for leisure, for communication, socialization. The lines of parasocial relationships were blurred in 2020. It was kind of obvious that something such as a cult could be developed in that time frame, as a lot of people kind of depended on social media influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers to keep them entertained. However, that is a breeding ground for a content creator with an ulterior motive or an agenda. One who knows how to identify an advantage and take it. Once a target has been identified, cult members employ various different kinds of tactics to establish power over the target. These manipulation tactics contain techniques such as love bombing, inciting paranoia, public humiliation. So if you were to take a look at all of the viral videos going on surrounding Angela, she would essentially 100% just tick that box of emotional and manipulation, from public humiliation to the love bombing she provides BBW women who aren't society's standards of beauty.
They saying I'm beautiful. I appreciate you telling me that, but I am very much my daddy's. Please don't call me beautiful.
Please don't.
Please.
I don't appreciate that.
I don't want no rides.
And I'll come pick her up and I'm the driver. She don't want that ride. I will be the driver. Cab wise, nigga. Cab position. They said Bella glowing. That's Daddy's glow. That's my baby. Bella's my heart. That's my baby. Can't nobody for her. That's my girl, period. I've been with this girl for 6 months. Are you dumb? This girl know me, period.
I do. And I love you so much. I'm about to cry. I love you so much, Daddy. No, it's okay. She's like, oops, I'm so sorry for calling you beautiful. It's okay.
Yeah, don't play that. It ain't okay.
I'm sorry. It's not okay. I'm
sorry, it's not okay. Bill, I'm happy your ass not drinking like me. One of us got to have a sober mind at this point.
But yeah, Daddy, you know what?
Sharing is caring. You can share me. You can't share my girls belong to me, period. You can't share this.
Who says sharing is caring?
One of these girls, I don't know.
I am happily owned by Angela Natural Genius. If you cannot tell, her name is tatted on my chest, so everybody can see who I'm owned by. Sorry. I am branded like a cow. Where am I going? Nowhere.
I am jealous.
Sorry.
It's not. I'm not only jealous. I wouldn't even say I'm jealous. I'm possessive. Let's go with that over jealous. I'm possessive.
Daddy, they said laugh out loud. It's okay. I get your hers.
Thank you. As you should. Cult.
I am definitely hers.
You want to join? They said cult over here, Bella.
Oh my God. It is, but we love it here. Like, it is a cult. It is. It very much is. And Daddy is the head of this cult.
Would you like to join?
And we love it here.
Arguably, one of the most effective ways it is that you can have control over an individual is by love bombing. The concept is to gain the target's trust by making them feel loved and accepted, and using that to essentially disguise any sign of manipulation in order to influence them and the way that they behave without raising suspicion. They prey on vulnerable people. The cult leaders or the recruiters will come by and they will be like,
oh, hey, I see you have a problem. Here, come and join this brotherhood, this sisterhood, because all of your problems will be solved.
And basically never deliver on any of the promises it is that they promised you. But I kind of want to make it explicitly clear that the reason that these women are viewed as quote unquote vulnerable isn't because they are plus size, which I know a lot of people are going to sit there and say like,
plus size women, y'all don't really love yourself. See, this just proves the plus size women, when they want to do all this fat acceptance, don't really be loving themselves properly.
I truly believe that the reason that these plus size individuals were chosen as victims were because most of them were single parents, and one of them, in one of the cases, they were unable to have children like at all.
She can sit there, like all she can say about me is that I can't have kids, which I can't. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, I'm still a better mother than you.
A study by Columbia University focused on 3 groups of people between the ages of 22 and 32, with one group being ex-cult members. The study release said this group can be characterized by difficulties with identity, particularly feelings of depression specifically related to identity formation. Difficulties with an identity formation appeared to have made the group more vulnerable to the recruitment techniques that offer clear identities and prescriptions for living. When reading this, the first thing it is that I thought was that a singular identity was shared among all of the women. They were all pretty much plus size BBW women of colour. I imagine that joining something of this nature would feel like a sisterhood because they all shared this identity trait. And this identity trait happened to be the most desirable to their leader. However, I know as a parent myself, I can sometimes feel as if I am just Fifi and Theo's mom. And the identity I had before having children is long gone. Losing your sense of self is the only way I could describe this feeling when you take on a role such as motherhood. And I feel like cults take advantage of people who are insecure or maybe just dealing with something emotionally, as those people are more susceptible to manipulation, and they use these negative psych techniques to rope them in. Okay, so Daddy's Inner Circle consists of 3 major players. We have Bunny.
The power of Christ compels you.
Does it, Jay?
The power of Christ compels you.
Is the power of Christ compelling me? Is that what's happening?
The power of Christ compels you.
Guess what? It's not that compelling.
Or Bunny Honey, Herbella69 and Shae. 2 of these members have since left. Bunny seems to be the most devoted, and Herbella came in a close second before she eventually left the community, which we'll talk about in another video. These 3 women served as the recruiters, promoters of the lifestyle, if you will. You had Bunny, who provided the spiritual, ritualistic element and aspect of the cult, from doing frequent prayers to their leader, creating altars and tributes. She essentially provided that fundamentalist aspect to the cult.
Everything that I am is because of you. And the only reason I exist in this world is to love you, is to cherish you, is to honor you and to serve you. I know that there have been a lot of things going on, and a lot of things are being brought to question over the last week and 2 weeks. But one thing that you never have to question is my love and loyalty for you.
Then there was Herbella. She was the live stream queen, honey. She would be the one who was most frequently using the live streams in order to recruit, as well as being the messenger, the go-between between a lot of the members of the cult and Daddy, aka Angela.
Because we can definitely talk about it, because me and Bunny know all your business. This is what I'm saying, like, we know all your I definitely know all your business. The crazy thing is that I have receipts back from January until April. So if you want to play this game, we definitely can, but you're gonna look crazy once I'm done with you.
Many of Daddy's girls would message Bella as their confidant, as a well-trusted member within the cult/fandom. Information that no doubt her Bella passed on to Angela and was used as emotional leverage against the girls in order to get them to conform. And lastly was Shae, aka Black Vanilla, aka at one point Daddy's wife. She, for the period of her reign, was said to be the closest person to Angela within the cult. She received preferential treatment, never had to really comply with the same rules and standards placed upon other cult members, but then one day it just all fell apart. One day Shae left. She was exiled / disfellowshipped from Angela's cult and decided to speak her story. And when she did finally decide to speak, the house of cards finally came crashing down. So Shae was one of the first women to leave the fandom, and when she did, it was in an explosive fashion. After giving her side on Twitter, she was approached by a podcast called The Black Podcast to do an interview, which she accepted. Now, in this interview, Shae was asked in detail about her experience with the cult and her entire time as a cult member, as well as the times when she actually met Angela in person. Because a lot of these girls who are following Angela have actually never met Angela face to face. A lot of these girls who are getting Angela's name tattooed on their body have never even met Angela, sniffed her hair, touched her brown skin. They are all doing all of this based on the parasocial relationship it is that they've developed with Angela. Now, I will commend the Black Podcast for allowing Shae to give her personal account, as well as giving her the opportunity to retort to contradictory screenshots and messages that were circulating that leaked regarding her involvement in the cult. This is what we call an even display of resources. Aunt Karen? Take note. Anyway, if you would like to see the entire podcast in full, I will leave the video in the description bar at the bottom of my video, because most of what is discussed is Shae's personal experience with the cult, and honestly, I don't really care to dispute her personal experience in any way. So let's take a look. Around the 37-minute mark, the podcast host basically tells Shae that they didn't tell Shae about the screenshots they were going to present ahead of time because they wanted Shae's real, raw, honest response as to why in some of the messages, Shae seems complicit in her own self-harm. Let's take a look at this interaction.
So, Shae, I actually did not tell you that I was going to post these, but I have some text messages that you sent to Angela that's been circulating as well. So, Llama, can you show? It's a text that says Shae text 1. And I just kind of want you to explain, what the situation was and what your mindset was when you sent these messages. Because basically, they saying that you was an active, willing participant. All right. So these are the messages. Can you see them, Shae?
Yes.
Is that your name? Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. So you text, presumably, Angela, and you said, I'm ready to I need to see blood, a lot of it. I need to see torture. I need to feel this pain. Angela texts back, what are you saying? What do you want to do? You say, I want to see blood, cuts, burns, blood. What do you want to cut? Who do you want to cut? Both of them. So before we go any further, is this you texting, Shae?
Yeah.
So this is you texting Angela unprovoked. This is you texting her on your own. You saying that you want to see blood, you want to see torture, you want to feel pain. And so how is it that it's brainwash or manipulation when it's you saying this stuff?
Because as you can see, there is no text message above it. There was texts prior to that. Yeah, as you can see, it says my name is Nodis or whatever. she has, like I say, a lot of the things I consider as role play. I didn't really consider them as like real life things, like things that we would like go forth with for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, well, I mean, like you said, you didn't tell me that you showed those, but I also have text messages too. She has a little, I guess, alter ego named Devin.
Okay.
So I was like during those texts, I was, wasn't supposed to be myself. I was supposed to be the alter ego, and that was supposed to be Devin that I was
And it was gonna
texting,
be
not
her alter
Angela.
ego.
So I
So
do
you was
take
talking at your alter ego, saying that you was gonna cut Shae, who is you.
right,
Okay.
but I can say that particular night, things like that. No, I did not cut anything like that. Um, when things like that happened, there wasn't no cutting on myself whatsoever involved.
Let's just read these other text messages real quick. I can't see the above message, but it says something about you're talking once again. I presume to Angela, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you said you have a slew of women to keep you occupied. She asks what that has to do with you. You respond, maybe I should cut my face. Would you think I'm beautiful? Would you still want me? You responded, you won't miss me as much. That's what they got to do with me. And then I'm not sure what this was in response to. You said I would rather suffer from a plague. And then she pretty much ignores what seems to be obvious emotional distress. And she asks, do you want to cut tonight? And you say, why not? There is excitement, a bit of amusement in your eyes to see it, right? And she said, this is not you. So you say, so make me cut my face. I have to leave you alone. I can't do this anymore. May I please be excused? Bye. So can you kind of explain what your mindset was or what you was thinking or what had you in such an emotional distress?
I can't remember. Like I really can't remember that night. I can't say about the face thing because there's quite a bit of me saying that because there's times where before like she'll play a game. She'll be like, "Oh, let's play a game," and then she'll like write body parts on piece of paper, put them in a bowl, and she'll kind of like put her hand in, pretty much like pick a name out of a hat type of game.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, "Oh, face to come out." Every time it say face, she'll like she'll like ponder on it, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I should make you cut your face. Oh, you're too pretty. You lucky I'm not gonna make you cut your face." So yeah, there is more than just that. That particular text. There is other texts of me saying, like, basically taunting her with, "You want me to cut my face? Should I cut my face?" type of thing, because that's what she would pretty much threaten me with a lot of the times. And as far as the rest of the text message, I really don't have a direct answer because I can't really remember what was going through my head at that time.
You was just like saying some shit.
Now, Shae says a number of things here. She states that she can't remember that time period and she was acting out a fantasy as her alter ego because Angela has their own alter ego called Devin. So that none of what was being discussed was really truly based in reality. Okay, so these are some leaked screenshots from Shae, basically showing her relationship with Angela the Goddess. And as you can see, it was quite a strange relationship, and I can't really differentiate between what's role play and what's real life, but all I know is like this, how do you even decipher what's real abuse and what's role play here? Because I mean, some people have sick and twisted role plays, and I ain't about to kink shame. and that sometimes Angela would play games with the cult members where she would draw from a hat various different body parts for them to cut, and face would come up, and that Angela would kind of use it to taunt the cult members, that was something that she was really serious in doing. So Shae agreeing to cut her face was almost as if Shae was taunting Angela back, that she would seriously do that. As crazy as it sounded, I believed that. That was plausible to me. Given the extreme member of these cult members, as well as their devotion to their leader, it could be rationalized that she was so balls deep into the indoctrination of Daddy and the cult that she felt compelled to do anything that could possibly please Daddy. However, I then went on to go and watch another live stream that Shae was involved with somebody by the name of Auntie Karen. Now, Auntie Karen is a social media reporter with over 1.4 million followers on TikTok.
Have you thought about pressing charges? I did. Is that something you're still willing and thinking about, something you want to do? The only problem with that is the amount of threats that I've received, the amount of threats that my family has received. See, her and I both live in Michigan, right? And so one of the things that I looked at, and I talked to a lawyer friend of mine, and also I talked to a police officer as well about this, because I wanted to know what kind of liability and what kind of trouble this is. When you're looking at domestic violence, you're looking at somebody who's controlling, somebody who's forcing, I can't say the word, coercion. Yeah, I can't say the word. And threatening. So when we look at domestic violence, we're looking at a psychological nature, an emotional nature, financial, and physical, right? All of these hit those points.
Whilst I understand what it is that Aunt Karen was kind of trying to drive home here, one of the biggest issues that I'm seeing is that she keeps referencing this as domestic violence. And the issue is with that is that Shae and Angela were not domestic partners, and they had only met each other one time. I honestly think that what's going on here is financial abuse through the internet, coercion through the internet, self-harm or coercion into self-harm via the internet, online intimidation. But maybe there needs to be new laws and new guidelines set in place for these kind of things, because essentially we don't have laws to protect people from internet predators when they are no longer a minor, they themselves are adults.
Threatening your family is very much hitting those points as well. And I really would consider, and I would have you consider bringing this evidence that you have, because you have enough evidence, bringing this evidence to the police, because she is not hurting just, there's a whole community. There are women who are willing to give their money to her, knowing that they have probably hungry kids, but this is affecting children.
I really wasn't comfortable with this section, because it seemed as if Aunt Karen seems to kind of glaze over the personal issues, the personal trauma, the personal situation it is that Shae is going through, especially with being harassed and all of these outside elements to a situation between herself and Angela, because obviously Aunt Karen is campaigning for the greater good, which, whilst I understand, I just don't feel like it's fair to guilt trip a victim into going to the police. Obviously, if she wants to go to the police, she should be supported, because I feel like we've almost already established that this is an individual who is susceptible to emotional blackmail. So a part of me just feels very uncomfortable about further emotional manipulation, even from the side of a reporter. Their decisions should be supported, and this seems to be the first time that this person is standing on their own 2 feet and making their own decisions for the first time in a long while. Now she's going to place the burden of other people's experiences as well as other children that might be involved in this situation due to their parents being emotionally manipulated. And as you're about to see, then she puts like the whole black community on her back as well, like as another thing that she needs to think about, when really in this moment she should just be thinking about herself and her own well-being. When it comes to victims of abuse, self-preservation should not be frowned upon.
And I would caution you, I would think about it and see if you are willing to press charges. I think this individual needs to have charges pressed against them. You know, I don't advocate for people of color to go to jail. However, when we are being toxic, especially in our own community, that's when I say we have to push that out of the way and look at what is happening in our community. And this is one of those issues.
Upon further digging, it seems as if another ex-cult member by the name of Herbella69, which we will discuss in the next video, had sent Aunt Karen screenshots of the conversations it was that they had had with Shae, which corroborated Herbella's previous claims that, one, Shae was upset that Angela no longer wanted to rock with her.
And then, like I said, she's trying to cover her tracks. So she's no longer a daddy's girl. She's no longer daddy's assistant. So for her no longer being those two things, she had to come up with a whole story. Okay.
But didn't she say she was gonna go to hell and wait for daddy to love her? Oh, okay.
No. It wasn't wait for daddy to love her. She said she was going to go to hell and meet daddy there. And so they can be together.
Well, see, the thing is,
I have receipts for that too. But what happened when you met daddy? She told you, baby, I love you, but I just want to be your friend. And you got mad. Like really, really mad about being friends.
Two, that there could possibly be some underlying mental health issues.
It's about her mental state. You guys don't know her mental state. Bunny, how many times were we on the phone with her while she was crying? Can you count?
no, that's my cousin Tar. No, actually I can't. And see, the thing is, you never know who you're gonna get.
3, that she was an instigator of her own self-harm. And 4, that her sisters wanted her to seek help. Okay, so pause to read, but unfortunately some of the grey images it is that I've placed on the screen are depictions of harm to oneself that Shae did, and it seems as if she does this unprovoked, as well as the girls are asking her to go and seek mental help and to go to a hospital where she was having feelings of unaliving herself. Like, there was a lot. Now, was this a situation that was instigated by Angela, or was this something that Shae was doing all along and that was one of her personal triggers? I'll leave you to decide. Now, this doesn't change one aspect. There is a live stream floated around where her, Bella, and Michaela basically were telling Shae in the chat that in order to come back to Daddy's cult, that Daddy had essentially said that she would need to cut 700 times. This is assumed to have been after Shae was exiled from the Daddy's Girls cult.
I appreciate the compliment, honey, but please don't call us beautiful or gorgeous. Please.
Please don't.
We don't want no rides with Daddy.
No wrong rides up here.
And Daddy said if with the 700 cuts, they better be neat.
You heard what she said.
And then after you finish cutting, you need to pray for forgiveness.
I read that it was one girl she made cut like 700 times. Is that correct?
No, she was telling me to cut 700 times. This was after I left. This was actually a couple weeks ago. They were on their live. They were making jokes and they was like, okay, yeah, cut 700 times or cut 400 times or cut 1,000 times. Like Angela and the other girl, one named Bella and the other one named is Michaela, they were live, and of course Angela was in the comments and they were like basically putting this in the comments. Oh, tell Shae to cut 700 times. Make them neat. Send pictures. Like, that's what they were doing on live.
So is it possible that Angela was aware of Shae's previous self-harm and then used that in order to control Shae to make her submit and conform? And maybe they put in a goal like 700 cuts. Seems like an impossible goal for most people because, again, Angela didn't really want Shae to come back to the cult. I think that could be true. I don't believe that that is too far-fetched. But my main issue is that Aunt Karen had said via social media that they'd never received anything from her Bella, but when her Bella showed her receipts of Aunt Karen actually seeing and receiving this message and even responding, why has this not been reported on by Aunt Karen in a public fashion when she is so heavily reported on the twists and turns of this story up until this point? Like, Aunt Karen has covered this story extensively, but just honestly to me, judging by the insertion of Aunt Karen and how this seems to be like a one-on-one vendetta between Aunt Karen and the Daddy's cult leader, just something wasn't sitting right with me about the conduct of this misreporting of news or not giving the full story or the full scope of the story. In this TikTok, we see Aunt Karen basically getting gas because her story was covered by another tabloid Instagram page called On Site.
Barely 2 words in, and you already look like you want me dead. You're getting all worked up over nothing. You've changed. You're getting weak.
And I would think that anybody who was watching this would see the way that Aunt Karen had conducted herself in this TikTok was nothing short of antagonistic. But with that being said, like I said previously, I still believe that Angela is an abuser and that Shae, regardless of contradictory information that they have given, is still a victim. But I do have to question why all aspects of this story wasn't so heavily reported and why we are negating certain parts of information that could essentially provide the audience with a much bigger picture. Essentially, I question why all aspects of this story wasn't reported. Okay, so this is the end of part 1. Now, this story is still developing, so I've decided to split this up into various different sections in order for me to get through the entire story, because each day something's changing, each day there's new information, each day there's old receipts making its way public. So for that reason, if you do want to keep up to date with this story, I also will be reporting on this story via my community tab section on my YouTube channel. So if you do want to keep updated with any news in regards to previous videos it is that I've made on the situation, definitely go ahead and click that subscribe button with the notifications and put on all post notifications so you guys will be updated and kept in the loop of every single time it is that I post here. In the next part, we will be talking about King, the DJ from New York, and his introduction into this story, and his heavy involvement in the sensationalization of this story, as well as all of the other numerous allegations against Angela and her cult, from the FBI to police involvement, online petitions to human trafficking, allegations of child abuse, and why many of her members, including Bella69, are dropping off like flies. And Bella69 actually left due to attacks on her child. Allegedly. This is a long and wild ride, and this story has so many twists and turns. So that's it for now, but we are still working extensively over here at the PBI. So tune in next time for part 2 of Daddy's Girls, the BBW lesbian cult of TikTok. And until next time, you beautiful bad bitches. Good night.
Or the fact that she told me she was going to bury my child next to my mother.
16 is consensual, baby. 16 is consensual. And they want this dick so fucking bad, you know?
Yes, people started threatening my child. Is it true that you have a cult of females?
I heard Aunt Karen say that she lives 20 minutes away from Angela.
A report can be made and then they will contact our department.
And then the boy King, he said he got people for me. Like this man is gonna send somebody after me.
I'm in contact with the authorities who just want information on this woman. So if y'all really care, if y'all really want something to be done, let's make it happen.
The leader threatened my daughter, who was 10 years old.
Now where I thought I was in the place where we were gonna come to a solution to help these women, I done sat here and watched the messiest shit I've ever seen.